Brits who fail to wear a mask in shops and on public transport could face a maximum fine of £6,400 from today, and penalties of up to £200 will be handed to people in England who don't wear a face covering under new government rules to help stop the spread, of course, of this new COVID variant. Well, Richard Taylor is a Welsh political commentator and the host of Rich Politics, and joins me now. Not a happy chap, I can imagine, this morning, Richard.
Certainly not, Darren. It seems we're heading back to where we were at the start of all this, and this has been a complete overreaction from the government. I mean, we've even heard it from the government in Africa who've stated that, it's nothing to worry about. People have talked about some of the symptoms involved in this, what I call Omicron. I know your viewers call it something else. To me, it's absolutely an overreaction from our government to bring restrictions in again. And once again, Boris Johnson, the libertarian he's supposed to be, is showing his power by overreaching into our daily lives and telling people what they should do. We've had mask mandates here in Wales since I can remember. And yet, if you look at the case rates, they're still as high as they've ever been. So clearly, they don't work. They don't work certainly here in Wales, not in Scotland either. So mandating masks, certainly in secondary schools, they're talking about it as well. And of course, for our children as well, they've faced so much over the last 2 years, Darren. And now we seem to be heading back to where we were at the start of all this. For a virus, quite simply, that we've got to learn to live with. The Sunday
Indeed,
papers...
Richard, but the point is, though, that, of course, the vast majority of scientists do think that masks do help prevent the spread of this. And also, we don't know that much about this new variant. Why is it not right that the government is slightly cautious? It's not that big a deal to have to wear a mask at certain points of the day, is it?
Well, haven't most of the population now been vaccinated? Haven't people got antibodies?
We don't know, Richard, if the vaccines are going to be as effective against these variants. I'm just suggesting the government's not expecting us to do an awful lot, which is to wear a mask at certain points of the day and to isolate when we come back from travel abroad. It's not exactly a big ask.
Yeah, but it's not just that, is it? It's connected to all the other stuff we've had to face. And we're seeing it here in Wales. For example, I was at Cinema and Co yesterday, a cinema that has been shut down by the Welsh Government for refusing to implement vaccine passports. Yet opposite, there's a pub that was packed with people that didn't have to show one, all sat close to each other, talking and drinking. Now, come on, it doesn't make any sense. But then you go to the cinema across the road, you have to present a vaccine passport. Some will say Boris hasn't done that yet. Mark my words, he's heading down that road. This is just a slow introduction, and it's a nudge towards what he's seeking to do. And I'm afraid that we've got to start to learn to live with this virus, as we've done with the common flu, the cold. For some reason, the government overreacts when there's a new variant. I mean, to me, it's just an overreaction. And I think the government...
But it's not an overreaction. They're just being cautious. 150,000 people have died in this country, almost, of this virus. For lots of their relatives, this is not an overreaction. And we could well see lots more people die this winter. We know the National Health Service is already stretched. Look, frankly, you're not on the side of where most public people are. People want to be cautious. They want to protect their loved ones, particularly those that are vulnerable. And if that means wearing a mask, it's not the most outrageous thing in the world to have to do.
Well, that's your opinion. You're entitled to it. But my opinion
it's not my opinion. It's the opinion potentially of 150,000 relatives, or relatives of 150,000 people who've lost their lives because of this virus.
But don't forget, we had 60,000 people normally die of flu every year. We didn't have anyone die of flu last year. So let's be honest with the figures. And let's be honest
we still expect people, if you've got the flu or the cold, to probably not come into work and not to spread viruses around.
I'm sorry, Richard, but
frankly, most people are not on your side on this issue. Most people think it is not that bad to try and protect people, to be cautious about a new variant, when a virus has killed 150,000 people in this country.
So you would be happy for us to be masked up for the foreseeable future, to carry vaccine passports and to mandate vaccines, would you, Darren? Would you think that would be a good thing?
All I'm suggesting is that I think most people feel that it is right the government is cautious about something we don't know about yet.
Well, we know enough that the symptoms, we've already been told by the South African and African governments that it's nothing to worry about. So why are we overreacting? It's an absurd reaction to me, in my opinion, that the government's taken, and I don't believe it's the right thing to do. That's my opinion. And you say 150,000 people. I need to add, we don't know the full figure yet, because people die from COVID and with COVID, and we've never been given those details by the government. It's never been published on mainstream media.
Sorry, Richard, we do know that there were excess deaths last year. A lot more people died last year than they had done in the previous average of the previous 5 years. So we do know people are dying of this virus, very sadly. All I would add is the government, in England at least anyway, have put a month on this. They say that many of the mask mandate rule will come to an end on the 21st. When we know a bit more about this COVID variant, it is possible things, of course, will get extended. But do you not get this sense that actually, there are people who, of course, agree with you, and I'm sure people will email in and they will agree. But the vast majority of British public don't agree with you. They do want the government to be more cautious of anything. They think the government wasn't cautious enough in the first place back in March of last year and indeed this time last year.
Yeah, I'm of the opinion that people should be able to weigh up the risks themselves and take personal responsibility. And I think we've lost trust in the public. The government certainly has. I mean, if a person feels they need to wear a mask, absolutely fine. I have no issue with that. If someone wants the vaccine, take it. And yes, the vaccine has worked to reduce the deaths that we've seen with the elderly and the most vulnerable. We know that. But we've been told by Boris Johnson now the vaccines don't work because of this new variant. Are we going to hear this every single year when a new variant comes, Darren? We're going to have boosters continually. Where is this going? And let's not forget, the big pharma companies are making billions and billions of pounds off the back of this. And those are the questions that I like to ask because they're just as important as actually mask wearing, restrictions, and all the other things we're discussing here with you this morning.
OK, Richard, appreciate your thoughts. Always keen to get a wide range of views here on GB News. Thank you very much. That is Richard Taylor there joining us from Abergavenny in Wales. Now,